I have always wanted to try a different flavor of cake, and my friend just did that for me with 3 flavors. So these are our ingredients. Just basically, I'm going to show you quickly, but she's going to tell us the fine details. Of course, the surprise is here. That's why she has hidden it. So let's do this. So over to you, Rose.
So we're going to measure out our ingredients. We'll share the quantities on the description.
Yeah.
That's why you have a very important tool if you want to learn how to bake and how to bake correctly.
Okay. And you're starting by teaching me. You know me, I bake for me. No. At least I use cups. I'm not
those guys who say put until they're
eyeballing.
Tell you to stop.
Eyeballers.
Please.
This video.
In a weighing scale.
Yeah.
This one I bought in town at Emma's Bakers, or the building that used to have Taskis on Ronald Ngala Street. I bought it during Black.
It's called Magic House.
The Magic Mall or something.
Magic Mall, yeah.
I added it to my arsenal of weighing scales. But there as a baker, I think I have like 4 weighing scales in the house.
Of course, in case one backfires.
One fails.
Yeah.
I still continue with my job. So
yeah.
I can give them a try.
Okay.
It's a nice scale.
Can you remember how much it was?
I bought it Black Friday. They had an offer, $650, but it usually goes for $800.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can get a scale within your price range. If your range is 500 to, but usually 500 to 1,000,
okay,
you get a good scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's also learn so that we stop eyeballing.
Yeah, you don't need to go for the 3,000 ones first. Just get yourself a nice economic scale.
Maybe after today, I'm going to upgrade my cups to a weighing scale. But I actually have 2. It's only that I don't use them. Let me see what you'll do today. Maybe I'll change today.
After this day, you'll realize why it's important to have a weighing scale as opposed to measuring cups. Especially if you're planning to also take your baking skill to the next level and try and decorate cakes. This one is more important than the cups.
Mimi, that grace I was denied. That grace of stressing myself. But yourself. I will.
Challenge yourself. So we measure our stuff out.
So you start at 0.
Yeah. Okay. Let me display how measure stuff out. I have my jar that I'm going to use to measure out the milk. The jar weighs something.
Yes,
I don't know how many grams. So the scale tells me the jar is 57. But I don't need the 57 for...
And you don't want to start adding plus.
And I don't want to add and minus. So you just come here. To your left. You change. It's called tearing. It comes to 0.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so you always start at 0. Even after you've put your nini, just do the tear and then start at 0. There's no need of you removing calculator. Oh, the jug is 57. We are adding 57. We are adding 240 grams of milk.
You start doing your math.
So for the milk, I'm using 1 cup of milk, which is 240 mils. 240 mils is the same as 240 grams.
Okay. How come I have 2 cups which are different? One is 240, the other one is 250.
It depends.
Now this tension,
depending on
tension of waiting for 240.
No, it's quite. There we have it.
So if you exceed a bit, it's still okay.
4 grams.
That tension.
So 2 grams is okay. It won't do any big nini.
Okay.
To the mix. So there we have. I'm going to do the same for all these other ingredients, and then we'll be back.
Okay.
0.
Next is margarine. But you can also use butter, right?
You can use butter. You can use oil, depending on the cake you're making. Some people do like half and half. They use margarine and they use good quality unscented oil, like vegetable oil is okay. Canola oil, depending if you can stand the smell of canolas.
So you will not get the same product if you use oil.
There are some oil-based cakes, like a good chocolate cake, you need to use oil. Red velvet, it's ideally oil. You can also do chocolate with butter or margarine, but because of the cocoa, you might get a different consistency.
Outcome, okay.
So I prefer my base for chocolate cakes to be vanilla, and other sponge cakes I prefer margarine or butter.
Okay. Thing is sugar.
Measuring out sugar.
So how much? What's the quantity of sugar?
Sugar should be half the amount of flour you intend to use. It's a ratio thing. So now, since I'm intending to use 400 grams, I'll use 200 grams of...
But you can do less. Okay, like
yeah,
for me,
like,
when I do my home baking, I
but
do
at
less.
times, if it's too little, it might affect the consistency of your cake. You might end up getting a very dense cake because sugar is hygroscopic in nature. It makes your cake moist, and it also gives it flavor, and it helps it in getting the right color. So yes, you can adjust on the sugar, but at times you need to be very careful not to overdo it. But there's a substitute also for those people who do diabetic cakes. They don't use sugar. They use like ripe bananas to substitute sugar. But for me, I prefer, if I'm doing a normal cake, so instead of 200, I can do like 190, 180. You see, as much as I've adjusted from 200, it's not
minimal.
too far off from...
Me, personally, sometimes I find myself doing like half. I didn't know I'm doing damage to my
Yeah, you will get a cake, but your cake will be very dense. So it's just good to stick to. Like on this one, I'm using 180 grams. Because this sugar is very brown and dark. Our quality of sugar is usually different from the West, whereby ours is a bit sweeter. So you need to also... We are using all-purpose flour.
Yes.
So when you're baking using all-purpose flour, depending on the cake you're making, if you are making a cake that has acidity in it, like buttermilk or vinegar, you'll need to use bicarbonate as well. But since you're making...
you add bicarbonate because of
if you're using buttermilk as an ingredient, you need to use bicarbonate because it's an acid and a base. So it gives you proper reaction. That's chemistry. So since you're not doing anything that has acidity in it, you're just using normal milk, we'll only be adding baking powder. And the ratio is usually 1 teaspoon, not tablespoon, teaspoon of baking powder per 1 cup of all-purpose.
And 1 cup, you said, is 250.
If you're using self-raising, like personally, I love eggs self-raising. That's what I use to bake. So there's no need of me coming back to add baking powder. So I just use it as it is.
So X is a good brand. It's not like I talk about it alone. So you see the second person.
I've used it for years and thank God it has never disappointed me. So
exactly. So X.
So this one is
the way to go.
400 grams of all-purpose flour. So 400, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Chapamandashi is a good brand as well. So, and make sure your baking powder or your bicarbonate of soda has not expired. If it has expired...
Hi guys, hope you're doing well.
Yeah, we're back.
Yes, your favorite baker is here. So today, what are you spoiling me with?
I'm going to bake for you some bubblegum Confetti cake.
Oh, finally I have another cake. You guys know I only make vanilla.
But we'll have vanilla as our base because
Okay.
vanilla helps to kill the smell of eggs. And then we'll be doing some cupcakes, 2 different cupcakes, and there will be a surprise. We're going to find out the flavors we decide on later on.
Yes.
Because you will not get the reaction you need. Using a tablespoon to measure out our baking
I thought you
powder.
said teaspoon.
A teaspoon, sorry.
Oh.
Teaspoon to measure out our baking powder. And make sure your teaspoon is leveled and not heaped. If you heap it, you'll have too much baking powder, of which it will make your cake bitter, and also it will make your cake crack a lot because of too much baking
So
agent.
that's why my cakes crack, because I'm not thorough to the point.
So this one,
Here I am
this
learning.
this is what we say, leveled. Make sure it's leveled. Another thing, make sure to mix this mixture well and sieve it out. You need to sieve it out so that you remove any impurities that might be here. And also the sieving out process helps you to get a nice fluffy aerated cake. So sieve your flour mixture.
So like for me, I sieve before putting in my jar. So we still sieve again.
It's good to sieve because it stayed there for long.
It's a few days.
Even
But
if it's
good.
new.
But it's good
Even
to
me,
say
when
that.
I use
Because I
a new
thought,
packet, I usually sieve it out.
no, I'm saying, because I thought that since I store it sieved, it's fine. I
It
can
helps
use
also
it.
to incorporate, you know, as we are mixing, you will find out why we mix it the way we mix, because we want our mixture to have air, of which the air will help us to have a nice, moist and fluffy cake. Yeah, instead of a dense one. So those are two
So I'm learning
Two
all my mistakes.
teaspoons. Teaspoons, people. Teaspoon.
Not table.
Not table. And it's good to use this
The one which are
the proper
accurate,
ones.
yeah.
Not your 2 teaspoons for tea.
Not the one that you have. Not this one. Don't use this one.
Please use the baker's one.
Because if you look at this one, actually, you'll see some are slightly small, some are bigger.
The consistency is not there. And in baking, you need consistency. So that's it. 4 eggs for our mix. And make sure your eggs they're at room temperature. And your milk as well. Don't use cold things when you're baking.
Okay.
Or the margarine or the butter.
Okay.
Everything should be at room temperature.
Cool.
So let's start the mixing process.
Okay.
Surprise yet to be revealed.
Yes, of course.
I know some people are very sharp. They've already seen something. So we'll see. Prefer using, I love Pradeep. Their essence are amazing. And then they have a lot of variety. So
Okay. At least now we know. Me, I just only know the one you find in the supermarket.
no, the quality is different. Yeah.
Okay.
Most bakers prefer using Pradeep. They prefer
Most bakers prefer Pradin.
using Pradeep, or there's a brand called Maimoon. I love Maimoon for their orange and red velvet.
Okay.
Red velvet and blueberry. Those are my favorite flavors from Maimoon. But the other flavors, I mostly prefer Pradeep.
Okay.
Preparing one of the baking tins we'll be using. So the best way to prepare this tin is to make sure that you've greased it. So apply generous amount of the margarine you're using or oil. You apply at the bottom and the sides, and then we shall be dusting it with a bit of all-purpose flour.
So where do we dust?
To make sure that your tin is properly greased. That way, as you bake, the cake will come out. Once it has cooled, the cake will come out from the baking tin.
Or it will not stick.
It won't stick on the baking tin. So if you do this properly, you should not have any problem when it comes to releasing the cake. But also, when you bake, once the cake, you've removed it from the oven, you give it a few minutes, like 10-15 minutes, for it to cool down a bit, but not completely cool down, just a bit, until it's warm to the touch. And then now you can try and release it from the pan. If you do it too early, it will definitely crack.
Okay.
Your whole cake, your cake will crack. So I've applied a margarine. Now I'm adding a bit of flour to do the dusting part. We'll be dumping out the excess flour. Make sure the flour comes to every corner and surface. If you're using a round tin, if you're using a square tin, if you're using a tin with different shapes, just make sure your flour if it's not enough, you can add. If it's an excess, like this one is just, it's perfect.
Okay. So you have added a pinch of salt to the flour?
Yes.
Okay.
So make sure I've mixed. So the flour now has baking powder, salt,
and it's ready for mixing now.
We are ready for mixing.
Okay.
I'll start by adding our margarine. So we've added our margarine. Now we are adding our sugar. Then we're going to do what's called in baking creaming.
Creaming.
Yes, we're going to mix them together.
Okay.
So I'll show you the right consistency when you want an awesome, yummy, delicious. Be sure to scrape the bottom of your bowl just to make sure everything is being mixed and you'll have an even consistency. Nothing is not going to be mixed, so just make sure as you mix, you stop a bit to scrape your bowl. To bake and you don't have a mixer, you can alternatively do it manually using a mwiko.
Okay.
So I'm using medium to high speed so that I can get the consistency of cake batter that I want. So you'll notice from when we started, our mix was yellow. Now it's a pale color. I'm going to mix for a few more seconds and then I'll add the eggs one at a time. Make sure to crack your eggs on a separate bowl. Don't crack them all at once because chances are you don't know how fresh or if all your eggs are in the right
They're okay.
properly. You can have maybe one egg that is rotten. So if you're adding everything to this mixture and you get one bad egg, that will mean you have to dump the whole mixture out and start again. Or if you crack the egg incorrectly and you end up getting a shell in your mixture, you might not be able to fish it out and you might be cooking a cake with eggshells. So just make sure to crack your eggs on a different bowl. If the egg is okay, then now you can add it to your cake mixture. If it has a shell, you can be able to fish it out using the shell from the egg. Push and then start adding yetu iko nini of whitish,
of whitish.
Yeah, yellow. So
okay.
Now we'll start. We'll crack the eggs and mix one at a time. You want to make sure that your egg is properly mixed in with the mixture before adding another egg, because you'll notice if you do it in a rush, your mix will start splitting. So it's good to do it gradually. Add one egg at a time, mix it well until you get until the emulsion is good. And then now I'm just cracking the second one to have it ready for once the first one is properly mixed.
Also, you mix individually?
Yes.
Okay. May God give me the strength to be patient.
If you do it all at once, you see, if your egg does not mix properly, you see what's happening here? It makes your mix split. So you need to make sure you're doing it one by one, even if maybe you're adding 2 at a go, but you need to make sure that it's properly mixed.
So you put the second one?
I've put the second egg. As you can see, just before I start mixing, my consistency is okay. My butter is not split, so that tells you the first one was able to, the emulsion worked out well. So proceed.
Okay. Shower.
We are ready to add our flour mix, and I'm going to sift it in, and then we will be alternating between the flour and the milk. Always start with your dry ingredient first, and then you introduce the wet one after. And you can use this, you can use the folding method, whereby you'll stop using the mixer, or you can use the mixer, but make sure the speed is very low, because you don't want to overmix your cake batter. I'm doing in 2 bunches, so that's our first batch. I'm going to use my mixer, and then I'm going to use speed 1. Vanilla, just to make sure we don't have the smell of eggs. And since I've used 4 eggs, I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Vanilla is our base flavor. We are going to have a second flavor that we are going to share a bit later.
So you've added some milk?
Added some milk. I'm going to make sure, as usual, make sure the bottom of our bowl is scraped. At 180. But depending on the oven you have, at times 180 can be a bit too much.
Okay.
So I prefer baking at around 160, 170.
Okay.
You're safer. You'd rather bake a bit longer than have very hot oven. Will make your cake, because cake starts to cook from the outside coming in, so it will make your cake dome at the center or have a bit of cracks.
Okay.
So just to be on the safe side, I prefer using 160.
And
yeah.
Okay. How many minutes?
For around, depending on the portion on your baking tin, around 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much you have.
So like 4 hours is how long?
4 hours will be around 30 minutes. But bake until your skewer comes out clean at the center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have our oven preheating.
saving our second bunch. You need a bigger.
I have it. It's only that you didn't see it. The sieve. I have a bigger sieve.
I need a bigger sieve. Oh, it's okay. Ndio atatumianga ile anaona iko karibu na yeye. Ni mixed hapa na kuna option ya folding by hand.
So now you're folding. You've decided not to use the mixer.
I decided since I'm on my last bunch.
Yeah.
Let me just fold it in quickly.
We'll soon be ready.
I'm going to add some milk.
Okay.
The one we had measured out earlier. As I'm folding, so soon we shall be disclosing what flavor we are having for cupcakes and what flavor we are doing for the cake.
Amazing. I can't wait.
We have vanilla as our base. The reason why you might bake and your cake still smells of egg is because either you're using poor quality vanilla or you're not using enough. But also don't overdo it. Just get the right amount depending on the bunch. Okay, as you can see, be careful of the still have flower pockets that you need to make sure
they're evenly mixed.
Yeah.
Just you make some chapatis and some cake.
Chapo cake. Now you have a mouthful of flour.
I know.
Measuring out from our cake batter 400 grams, and you'll notice our cake batter is not runny, it's just drop consistency. That's the right consistency for cake batter. So I'm measuring out 400 grams. As we said earlier, we are having a different flavor for the cake and different flavors for the cupcake. So for the cake, I'll be adding some sprinkles and bubblegum flavor. So it will be a bubblegum confetti cake.
Amazing.
So that's
I'm already salivating.
That's 399 grams. 401. So yeah, good. And the remaining butter, I'll also measure it out for our cupcake flavors, which will be doing ice cream and raspberry.
Amazing.
So these are the sprinkles we are using. I find these sprinkles better than the two small round ones because they're easily incorporated into the cake and you don't get a bite once the cake is ready. And then for the flavor, we are using bubblegum. This is our bubblegum essence. I'm going to add half a teaspoon of bubblegum. Half a teaspoon of bubblegum essence. And voila. So I couldn't add the bubblegum when we were adding the vanilla since I was intending to do different flavors. That's why I'm adding it at this point. Just make sure it's properly mixed into your cake batter. But also be careful not to overmix the cake batter. I'm going to add some more sprinkles.
I'm already salivating.
On the sprinkles, I'm eyeballing it because it's a matter of preference. Some people like it a lot, some people like it a bit, so it depends with you. So
the smell.
that's our bubblegum confetti cake batter. Our bubblegum confetti.
The smell.
Also, be careful the baking tin you use. Don't have little cake batter with a very big baking tin, or the opposite. Also, your baking tin should be depending on the size of cake batter that you're using. So this one, because I measured out the cake tin is around 500 grams, like a half kg cake tin. That's why I measured out 400 grams of that way. Our cake tin is 3/4 full. We have enough space for the cake to rise. And yeah, it does not
So
make sure to level out your cake batter. And also then we are going to tap a bit to remove any air pockets that might be there. So our cake batter is ready to go into the oven.
careful.
Okay, cream mix using half a teaspoon.
Is it going to taste like ice cream?
Yeah. Rinsing out. And then this is our raspberry mix. So I'm going to mix it a bit, and then we're going to have some cupcakes with the two flavors.
The smell is amazing.
Now we're going to show you the end result. Our cake is already in the oven.
Oh, so what you are saying is that
Can you smell the ice cream flavor?
Yes. I'm saying what you are saying is that you if you're not separating the flavors, you add all the flavors at the
If
point
I was
you
doing
added
only
vanilla.
one flavor, I would have added that flavor at the point at which I was adding the vanilla, which is after the eggs, before you add the flour.
Okay.
Yeah, but in case you forget to add the vanilla after the eggs, you can add it during your flour stage. That one will also be okay.
Okay.
Because you don't want to cook a cake that has egg smell, you won't be able to eat it.
Okay. So you're now setting up for the cupcakes.
Your case should be filled 3/4 way. That way you have space for the cake, for the cupcakes to rise.
Okay.
I'm doing it slowly. I should be using 2 spoons. I'm in a bit of a hurry, so I'm just using my one. But if you're starting out, please measure out using 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
You'll have a much neater
Cake.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Good one.
Lakini pia
One way of knowing is they'll
They'll start pulling from the edges. Another way of knowing is to insert a skewer at the center. If it comes out clean, is it clean?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's done. That one is because of the sprinkles.
Yeah, so it's clean. So the cake is ready.
So you have to give it like 10 minutes, and then you can flip it.
Wow, it's so beautiful.
Our confetti cake. We'll cut on the inside, and then we'll show you how it looks like on the inside.
Yeah.
It's moist.
And pretty.
Colorful. Yeah, so there you have it.
The cupcakes are raspberry and ice cream flavors. Yeah, so you can watch the whole process and see how we came up with this. Our chef of the day, our baker of the day, Rosie, and don't forget to check her out if you need cake and you're in Nairobi, Kenya.